What's up guys, welcome to another video. Today I'm going to be talking about the players who have left Leeds United and whether those players would be accepted back by Leeds as a club and as a fan base as well. I mean, I know my answer to this, and my answer is no. Just because they've deserted the club in a bad time, and it's just not something that I think we will forgive as a fan base. I mean, a lot of fans haven't forgiven Charlie Taylor, players like Alan Smith, who obviously it's been what 20 years since Alan Smith left, and people still haven't forgiven that all the years later. So in the short term, we're definitely not going to accept it. For example, Harrison, who has just joined Everton on loan for the season, there's no obligation to buy. So Everton, they could sign him again next season. If we go up, they would have to pay for him if they wanted to keep him. But it's a lot of these. I think all of these loan deals have no obligations to buying them. Robin Koch is really the only one we're definitely not going to see again, because his contract does run out. So he has gone for free, essentially. I mean, there will be a small clause in there. I'm not sure how much it is, but Vuba's was 500k, I think, 300k maybe, a loan clause. So maybe there's something in Koch's that is around that figure, but we'll never see Koch again, because after this season he's a free agent and most likely will sign for the club that he's gone to, or another club in Germany, or maybe even a Premier League club. I mean, I don't think he's a good enough defender for the Premier League, but I can definitely see him signing permanently on a free transfer for someone in Germany, or maybe even in Spain or Austria, somewhere like that. But yeah, most of these loan clauses have no obligations to buy. So what will happen is, if we go up, we'll get these players back, and then we'll be able to sell them for a profit, hopefully. In cases like Harrison, who's gone on loan to Everton, if we come back up, we'll be able to demand a fee for him. We paid, I think, around 15 million for him. So we could demand 20 to 30 million for him. If he has a good season with Everton, maybe someone of a higher class than Everton in terms of up the table. Maybe it'd be maybe Villa, who were interested in maybe they dropped out due to injury. So if he has a good season at Everton, stays relatively injury free, we come back up, Villa could come in with an offer, and we could bid him out, or sell him out to the highest bidder. But that's not gonna happen necessarily, because if we don't make it up, there is a possibility, I'm not sure about this, but it seems like this will be the most likely thing that to happen due to the contracts, is that if we don't make it up, these loan clauses will still be active as long as we're in the Championship. So it is a possibility that these players would just extend their loans with the clubs that are currently loaning them until the contracts get run down, as long as we're out of the, if we stay out of the Premier League for 4 or 5 years, these contracts will be up. They could leave us free transfers. This is like worst case scenario. Realistically, we're probably gonna get back up at some point. Maybe not this year, but I would expect to be up in 2 seasons probably, especially with Farke and the backing that the board will give him, because I do believe the board will back Farke. It's just a financial issue at the moment, with obviously not bringing in much because of player sales. I believe there'll be a few loan incomings, similar to the Roden loan. But I believe that'll be closer to September. I imagine we'll be in for a very busy deadline day. But speaking about the possibilities of the loan players coming back, there's no real. What I'm trying to say is that a club might not, if we make it back up and these players come back to us, there might not be any offers for these players. They might not necessarily leave or have offers for us to sell them. An example of this could be Sinistera. So say if Sinistera were to leave, go to Feyenoord for a year, no obligation to buy, we make it back up, Sinistera comes back to us, but Feyenoord decide not to put in a transfer bid. They've already had him once and sold him once. They wouldn't mind him back on loan, but they might not want to pay for him again. And then no one else might come in for him, and then he's stuck at the club. And then you've got a situation where you've got a player who the dressing room will naturally resent for deserting the team, but then you've also got a player whose wages will then have to be paid by the club. The loans are not. The loan deals wouldn't be active anymore because we'd be a Premier League club again. So it's a difficult situation. The club and Victor Orta at the time put these contracts in so that the club could sort of defer the wages for the season, make it back up and sell for a profit. I mean, every single player bought under Orta was bought with the mindset not to improve the club but to sell for a profit, like what happened with Rafinha, for example. And they looked for that specifically because of Leicester. Leicester purchased N'Golo Kante, Riyad Mahrez for small fees and then sold them off for high transfer fees. So that's what they were looking to do. Unfortunately, relegation and these clauses kind of screwed them over. The people who put these clauses in as not the club anymore or not running the club anymore. Obviously, Kinnear's still here and Parag Morate had, I presume not a massive say, but he was on the board when these contracts were placed on the table for the players to sign. So there has to be some sort of blame there. I don't think we'll ever find out what really what kind of power Morate had at the time, because you can't really trust anything that comes out of Rad's or Orta's mouth. So we're probably not going to find out how much power Morate had. Kinnear will be partly responsible. I don't mind Kinnear. He's definitely the least worst of the three who were running the club before. But these contracts, I don't think it'll ever happen again. Especially while the 49ers are in charge and Daniel Farke is here. I believe Farke has got a. He's literally the face of the club at the moment. He's running the club from top to bottom, it seems. So him having a say on contracts and things like this, we're never going to see a situation like this again. But it makes it incredibly stressful to shoot back up, and it ruins our chances because all of our sellable assets have these loan clauses in them. So we literally cannot get good fees right now. In the same way that Leicester and Southampton have been able to, sell Prowse, Lavia, and then Leicester have sold Madison, Barnes, Even now, Leicester still have a lot of sellable assets. I mean, Patson Daka is a brilliant striker. There'd be a lot of takers, maybe in Germany for a player like that. Iheanacho is a good Premier League striker. I would take him at Leeds if we were still a Premier League club. So we don't have the assets right now to be able to get a profit, and we're gambling that we're gonna go up this season really with these clauses to make maximum profit. Now this could work out big time. Aronson could have a wonderful season. We could get 30 million and make a profit on him. Next season when he comes back, someone else might come in for him. We might be able to flog him to someone high up in Germany, maybe Leipzig or someone like that. We could get 30 million for him. But realistically, it's not going to happen. We overpaid for Aronson. We overpaid for a player who realistically, Aronson was not an upgrade on Tyler Roberts. And, Tyler Roberts cost us, 2 million? Maybe even less than that. I'm actually unsure, so I'm going to have a little quick Google to see how much Tyler Roberts was worth. So let's have a look at this. Transfer market, let's have a look. He cost Leeds United 250k we paid for Roberts, so a lot less. And to replace him with a 22 million pound signing like Aronson is a massive waste of money. Especially because we're not going to get that. We're not going to make a profit on that. When you look at what Southampton have done, they're going to be selling Lavia for 60 million after they bought him for around 10 million. They made a massive profit. That's like 50 million. They can then invest that 50 million that they've made in profit on players for the Championship. That is 5 players worth 10 million they could buy now. So this is something we don't have. The only money we have made from transfers is Rodrigo for 3 million. We signed him for 21 million, I think. He was a record signing. We signed him for a lot of money. It was Spain's number 9 when we signed him, and when we sold him, he just made it back into the squad again, the international squad. So we've sold a Spanish international for 3 million and made a massive loss. You just don't see other clubs doing that. And that's where the annoyance and the understandable annoyance from fans comes into it, because this situation is incredibly annoying, and it means that we're going to have to be slow in the market. We don't know who is yet to be loaned out, so we don't know what we're going to have to replace yet. Say if Sinistera stays, and, let's say Adams stays because no one comes in for him. Then we don't have to get a midfielder to replace Adams. So if we sign in another midfielder, we might have to sign 2 midfielders if Adams leaves, right? And if we expect him to if we expect him to leave and we sign 2 anyway, then we've got 3 midfielders and we've got more players than we need. Sinistera the same. He might leave, and then we'll need another winger. Or else we'll be playing, Jan Paveda and Shackleton, and then maybe even dropping into the under-21s, playing McGurk or Charlie Allen, players like that. Whereas if Sinistera leaves, we'll sign another winger. But if he stays and we sign a winger to replace him, but it turns out that he stays, then we've got an extra winger we don't need, because we've got Rutter as well. So it's a weird one. Like we need to know who's leaving to know who to sign. In terms of what I think will happen, I think Sinistera and Adams will go. I think Nonto will go. Obviously Harrison's left. I have an inkling Somerville may have left before his injury. So, that's a possible January exit we need to look at and prepare for. It looks like Sonny Perkins will be leaving on loan. There's a lot of whispers that the club are happy for him to leave on loan and he wants to leave on loan. So, that's another... We'll need to sign an under-21 striker because Joseph is now part of the main squad. So, it's a lot of players we need. I mean, we still need a left-back. Cooper's out for a long time, so another centre-back it'd be good. A left-footed centre-back, that is. Not Phillips. Nathaniel Phillips. I don't think we should go in for that. I don't think we will, especially with the Rodon deal. He's right-footed. We need a left-footer to replace Cooper. I suppose Helder could play there, but, these players are young. We need experience in the Championship. So we need a left-back, a left centre-back, a midfielder, because Archie Gray cannot be put through, 46 games, is it, in the Championship? I think it's 46. Just double check. Yeah, 46 games. We can't be playing Archie Gray for 46 games. He'll end up like Jack Wilshere, Wayne Rooney, who burn out and peak early and then burn out for the rest of their careers. It's not fair on him. You can't be playing a 17-year-old week in, week out. I mean, he's played 3 times in like the space of a week already, and it's just ridiculous. And he's playing 90 minutes too, or the best of 90 minutes. He came off against in the opening game against Cardiff. He came off in the 90th minute. So we're overworking Gray already, because there's literally no one else for that position. And as good as Gray is, it's not realistic to expect him to be able to manage it. He's still growing. He'll have growing pains. It happened to Steven Gerrard when he was younger and he was breaking into the Liverpool squad. Players that young have injuries because their bodies are still changing and growing. So, playing Gray for 46 games, he will be injured at some point this season. And if he's injured, we're looking at Shackleton. But at the moment, Shackleton is playing as a winger. So then we have to replace the winger. That's where the problems are coming in. The squad is far too thin. So we need a left back, a left centre back, a midfielder to replace Adams, probably another midfielder. I'd say 2 midfielders are needed, because we need to replace Roca too, because Ampadu can, Ampadu plays a centre back, but if there's an injury to Ampadu, there's literally no one else to do that kind of deep sitting role, creative number 6 role. There's literally no one else in the squad who can do that. JB is not a number 6, he's more of a number 8. Gray can do it, but again, like I said, he's too young to be expected to, and then just having to shift him over and put someone else in there. So we need 2 midfielders. We need probably a winger and a striker, and then we need a number 10. So that's 6 signings, 7 signings we need. And that is a lot. And Meslier could still leave. He's a sellable asset. Maybe he'll leave. Darlow's been brought in. Darlow's a number 1 quality keeper. But then we're looking at Klaassen as the second choice and Van den Heuvel as the third choice. Klaassen and Van den Heuvel are not Championship standard keepers. They've not played at this level. They've both played under-21s football for the majority of their careers. So it's, if Meslier were to leave, we're going to have to sign another keeper. I don't think Meslier will leave. It looks like no one's come in for him. There were some rumours about Chelsea being interested. But I expect Meslier to stay. But it is a possibility that he goes on transfer deadline day and we've got no one lined up to replace him, or to act as a backup for Darlow. So, even goalkeeper is probably our strongest position at the moment in terms of depth. But you can't bet that Meslier will stay. So there's a lot of work to be done. I would expect a few loans in towards the end of the transfer window. I think we need to know who's going to leave first before we make signings. There's rumours about Glenn Kamara, and I think the club have bid for a striker. Graham Smith from the Yorkshire Evening Post has confirmed that there's been a bid. Also, fans were talking to Angus Kinnear after the Birmingham game, and he apparently has said to fans that we are in for a striker who's not Joel Pirro, sorry. So, Pirro would have been brilliant, but it looks like he's set to stay at Swansea and then leave on a free next year, so we kind of missed out on that. We missed out on Hamer, who would have been absolutely brilliant for the Championship. But I'd be happy with Kamara. It means Gray can be rested at times this season. I still expect Gray to play a lot this season, and I think he should play. He just shouldn't play so much that he's going to get burned out. I would expect him to play maybe 30 games this season, but not 46. It's just far too much, and especially when there's going to be 3 games a week. There might be a game on the Sunday, then one on the Thursday, and then one on the Sunday again. So there'd be so many games within 10 days and things like that. And just for rotation's sake, it makes sense just getting that extra midfielder. So I would expect Glenn Kamara in pretty soonish. And then this unnamed striker who I think will be Cameron Archer from Villa. That's the rumour. I've seen some of the other names thrown around, but I think it will be Archer. Good signing, potentially. So we'll have to see. I think it will be a permanent, if there's been a bid put in, like Graham Smith says. And then I would expect Kamara as well to be a transfer. And then I would expect a few loans. Brandon Williams is getting a few mentions. I wouldn't be happy with that. He's good, but the guy is a full-on Man United fan, and he's very Man United as well. So it'd be a weird one. I can't see him being a popular one with the fans. But I do think we will get a lot of loans in towards the end of the season. And then these loan players will probably return and be sold for profit. Hopefully, that is the hope. But this could backfire massively, and this will be the hardest period for Farke. This sort of this transfer window, and then potentially the next one, could be difficult too, because if the transfer window closes and Adams and Somerville and Meslier are still there, someone might pick those up in Jan, and then we having to scurry around and get 3 quality first team players to replace them. Ruter as well, a very good player. There's been murmurs around him leaving. I don't think he will, but it's always a possibility, even in January. So it's going to be a tough first season for Farke. If he can get us top 6, then he's done a brilliant job. I would say to all Leeds fans watching this, do not expect to go up this season. Just sort of, this club has been, it's like with a Titanic, and Farke is having to properly steer us to safety. This ship is sunk. We need now to build a new ship and to go again, but these things take time. I would give Farke 2 years. There's a reason he's on a long contract. This is a project. and I would expect to go up next year rather than this year. If we can do it this year, brilliant, and it'll be a lot harder. Be a lot harder to do it next year as well, because of these loan clauses may carry over. But I would give Farke time and patience, and I think that us as a club, we've seen how those who were running the club before, and I'm including Jesse Marsh in this, they ran the club so badly that this is going to take time to fix, and we don't want to be rushing around here. Obviously we need to work quickly, but we don't want to be rushing around and throwing money everywhere because there's FFP, that kind of thing. We don't want a transfer ban, an embargo. We don't want to get into financial trouble. That could end up, that kind of thing could land us in League One. We need to be careful. I think the 49ers, there's a lot of people attacking the 49ers, and I understand that, but I think, they've been, royally screwed by the previous board, and we need to let them sort it out over this season. But I'm personally giving them 2 years to fix this. I think it's a longer term job. But I think we've got the best manager possible for this. There is no one in world football I would rather have rebuilding this club than Daniel Farke. In terms of, he is the natural successor to Bielsa, not in terms of style of play, although it is similar. It's in terms of personality and in terms of responsibility as well. It just makes so much more sense than Jesse Marsh, and it certainly makes more sense than Javi Gracia and Sam Allardyce, who never really felt like they were going to be long-term Leeds United managers. Even Marsh, he was talking about how this was going to be his forever job and how he'd happily stay here forever. Well, I'm pretty sure every Leeds fan is so glad that he's not. But yeah, I never really thought Marsh was going to be a long-term success, just because of the way he was handling the squad and the way he talked about the team. But this is not a Jesse Marsh rant, even though I've still got a lot of anger towards him and Radrizzani and Orta. I'm trying to look positively, but as well as the loans, I think the answer to whether they would be accepted back is no, not by me. Everyone who's leaving on loan, I would expect to be sold now, in the future, next season, if we make it back up, or the season after if these loan clauses do carry on, if we don't make it up this first time. But I would expect there's no way back for anyone who leaves on loan, apart from players that are under like Perkins, for example. If he were to leave on loan, that would be a loan for his development, and of course development loans are normal, and he would be accepted back. So yeah, that's all from me, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed this. It was kind of interesting, getting my thoughts out, and hopefully you guys enjoyed it too. Let me know what you think in the comments. I would be happy to hear what you guys think. Obviously, let's hope we can get up this season, but I would say be patient, and yeah, let's hope we can do it anyway. Marching on together, everyone. See you later.